Hello, my name is Molly Bolton and I am the Curriculum Coordinator for Special School District, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Intervention Fidelity Check-in Survey. This survey came out of a work team for the CSIP plan, and it was designed in order to support CSIP Goal 1, which is student success, Objective 1.1, ensuring achievement for all students, and under Strategy 1.1.1 to implement and monitor a system of interventions in math, literacy, writing for all students served who are not proficient on benchmark assessments. So one of the things we know when we are trying to implement and monitor interventions, a big piece of that is fidelity. So the program fidelity rubric or checklist is really a brief observational or reflection tool that can be used by administrators, but in this case more so teachers, to really kind of assess and reflect on the fidelity of implementation of a program or a strategy. This survey includes a page of common look-fors for a lot of the strategies and programs that are used in SSD, and there's a rubric where you can rate the fidelity of implementation. The purpose of the survey is, first of all, to increase program fidelity, which then would increase effective instruction, which would then in turn increase student achievement. That's our overall main purpose. But also some additional pieces. Teachers can use this survey as a reflection tool to support the educator evaluation process, and that can be supported in a couple of different areas. 7.1, where you're looking at using assessment data to drive student instruction. Reflecting on fidelity would be an important artifact that could be used for that, as well as professionalism. So if you have an indicator in professionalism, being a reflective practitioner is also a very important part of professionalism, so it could be used as an artifact for that area as well. There may be other areas, but those are the two that come to mind. Also, administrators can use it as a coaching tool or evidence for need of support. So if you're needing more support with an intervention or a strategy, this could be some good data to support getting that support that you need. Administrators and teachers can use it to look at the fidelity of implementation of an intervention and then the impact of that on student achievement to see if there might be a connection there. The process that's going to be used, first of all, the teacher's really going to take a group or an individual that they're doing an intervention with and reflect the past week or so or several sessions and kind of answer a series of questions. The series of questions include what district you're in, and the reason why we're including that information is so that we can share this information with directors who will then share it with area coordinators and other administrators to help see where support might be needed in certain districts. Also, how often you meet with your group, the amount of time you meet, so if it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, that sort of thing. Who's implementing the intervention, and that can be a host of folks. It could be the special ed teacher, it could be the special ed teacher in collaboration with paraprofessionals, it could be the special education teacher in collaboration with a general education teacher, it could be the special education teacher in collaboration with speech-language pathologist. The grade levels and primary diagnosis of the students, how that intervention was implemented based on the rubric rating, and we'll kind of show an example of that further in this presentation. The barriers that might be present that affect the fidelity of the implementation. We did do a pilot process this past winter and spring of 2015-2016 in which our SSD schools as well as our deaf and hard of hearing department completed this process twice. And then we looked at the data to make sure it was useful and also got feedback from the participants. This is some examples of data that was collected in one of the periods, just to kind of show you some of the data that's collected. So the first question was you would slide a bar and select the number of days of instruction. over the previous 5 days of school. And then the amount of minutes, and then it's averaged in these results. The staff members who were implementing the intervention, we were specifically on literacy, but now we're moving it to math and writing as well. So who was implementing the intervention, and there might be more than one person. What grade levels, just to give a breakdown of elementary, middle, and high. The primary diagnosis, and you can choose more than one in that area. And then what assessment they are assessed on, as well as which program, or if it was a learning strategy, what you used. And then based on that, you would then be taken to a specific rating scale, if you will, for that particular program or strategy. So here I've chosen to show you rewards, or phonics for reading. And then you see there's a list of 5 key Fidelity measurements for that specific program. There's also a place under that that if you'd like to provide additional comments about the Fidelity, you'd be able to type that in as well. So then if you chose less than 3 of those 5 critical elements implemented, they talked about what were the barriers. And so you could check, again, all that apply. And talk about the barriers that may have prevented you from doing the intervention or strategy with Fidelity. And then there's also a place, again, for comments for you to put comments in if there's other things. This kind of shows you the results. So again, it shows you what teachers kind of chose, how many of the elements they were able to implement. So some of the findings from the pilot, definitely we saw that the number of participants were higher in the winter than the spring. One of the indicators for the survey was we were in MAP testing and EOC testing when we deployed the spring one. So therefore our X for that is to possibly do our spring measurement before spring break, before all the testing begins. We felt teachers were very honest about their responses. We had a nice array of answers that we could then analyze and really look at what some of those barriers might have been, and some of them were implementing with higher fidelity. It did give us very good information about the barriers and where support might be needed and how we can maybe eliminate some of those barriers. Teachers reported that they felt that the time to complete it was very reasonable, and they liked the fact that then they could use those results to improve instruction, as well as use it for an artifact for the educator evaluation if they chose to. And then we also, in analyzing the data, saw some folks with some really high fidelity, and we thought we need them to say what is kind of supporting them, or what do they feel key factors are to help them get that high fidelity, so that we can be promoting those positive things as well. So what will this data be used for? We will analyze student data to see kind of the impact of interventions, and teachers hopefully are doing that as well. Problem solving those barriers to make sure that there's effective implementation, and then self-reflection for the teacher to improve instruction. So if you take it in the fall and you maybe identify some of those barriers and try to problem solve some of those, and then you have a follow-up measure in the spring to see if maybe some of those things you might have put in place to address some of those barriers had an impact. Then part of the coaching conversation between administrators or facilitators and teachers to get that additional support that might be needed to increase that fidelity of implementation. Another note is it is not designed to be used as an evaluation tool for the teacher, so administrators would not use this as part of an evaluation. This is really a self-reflection form for the teachers. It would be up to the teachers whether to share their individual results with administrators as part of the EES process, but again, that would be the teacher's choice. So how will it be completed? You will receive an anonymous link from a Qualtrics survey that will come through your email. However, with that anonymous link, I do want you to realize you will identify your district and your level. This survey will come out in both fall and in the spring. And then you will complete the survey on the subject areas that are applicable to you. So literacy, math, and writing. In our high school and middle school areas, we may have teachers that are more content focused, and possibly maybe even some of our elementary areas where you may only teach math courses or literacy courses. And so then you would just check not applicable for those other surveys. Once the survey is completed, there will be an Adobe Acrobat symbol in the top right corner. It's very small. If you want to save your survey and use it as an artifact for your EES, please save that there. If you don't save it at that time, we are not able to go back and retrieve that information for you because we are using the link and your response will be anonymous. So we would not be able to go back and retrieve that for you. So if you are thinking of using it for the artifact, it is very important that you save that. So what will we do with these results? First of all, we'll use the results to kind of analyze those barriers for implementation and then look for some systematic ways that we as a district can really decrease some of those barriers. Also, they can be used to see which interventions are more widely used across the county to ensure that we have ongoing support and trainings for those particular strategies or interventions. The results will also be used to increase the effectiveness of your teaching practices and to ensure that ongoing student achievement. In looking at what the barriers are and trying to address those, we feel that teachers will be reflective practitioners and able to use that information to problem solve and be better practitioners. If you have any questions about the survey, all three of these folks are members of the Goal Team Strategy Team, Matt Trowborough, myself, and Amber Delgaso. And so they would be able to assist you with any questions you might have. So please feel free to email any of us. Thank you for your time.